Happy Monday. It's already been a great day. 2 loads of laundry done, some social media training. My blog post is almost complete. I have just a couple sentences to add, and it's all good. So had a pretty good weekend. Wasn't quite as productive as I wanted it to be, but I did also enjoy dinner at my sister's with her family on Saturday. So that was fun. And then what movie did we watch? Oh, The Blind Side. I swear every time it comes across the screen, Joan puts it on, and I still love it every single time I've seen it. It's so fun. All right, if you were not with me on Friday's Facebook Live, you'll want to be sure to check out my blog post a little bit later today. It won't take me long to finish up, but it features the tulip dies, and I made a chart for everybody, and I demonstrated how to put the tulip dies together to make the 3 different tulips. And then we made a pretty card here. And then I also made an alternate card afterwards with just 1 single tulip. So give me about 30 minutes or so after my live ends, and then that blog post will go live at stampinpeace.com. I'm also finishing up my write-up for my latest class to go, which will be the next thing to be posted. And that uses the Flowering Rain Boots bundle, the stamp set, and the coordinating dies. Super fun bundle, perfect for this time of year where everybody's excited for spring and anticipating all the blooms and blossoms and new life happening during spring. But I'll quickly show you the cards, but you can look for an email to sign up for this, plus a blog post later today as well. And there will be 3 options for that class as always. The full class includes the bundle, the stamp set, or the second option does not include the stamp set and dies needed. So if you are a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you want to buy that yourself, or somebody already owns that bundle and you just want the card supplies, that would be option 2. And then also the PDF option. All right, we have been focusing on the Flowering Fields suite for the last couple of Facebook Lives. I showed you last Wednesday how to stamp these tulip fields and how to gain perspective using those, and also how to stamp a starburst or sunburst. Friday, of course, I taught you how to put all those pieces for the tulips together to create your beautiful paper flowers. And today I'm going to show you 2 different ways to use this die. Okay, it's just a little kind of a hillside, curved side, and a bunch of tulips. And we're going to make 2 cards using this die. So I'm going to flip my camera around right now. And while I'm doing that, would you please share this live video and invite other people to join us. And I should also say Happy Pi Day. My daughter Andrea is a 6th grade math teacher. So I sent her a text message this morning that said, Happy Pi Day to my favorite math teacher. All right, as I said, we're using just this die to create 2 different cards. We're going to use it 2 different ways, and I've got my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine ready. Now, what I want to show you about this is when you die cut this, this is what you get. All right, you get that. Now, if you want to cut a shorter piece, say, for example, you had like a 5.5, 6-inch piece of cardstock, it would come out like this. And this is the usable piece then. Pretty self-explanatory, but I thought I'll show that just in case. So let me show you how nicely this cuts out, and then we'll make a beautiful tulip card. One of two today. So I've got a piece of cardstock, just basic white, and I'm laying my tulip die right on top. I'm actually using a scrap from a card I made earlier. And look how nicely this cuts out. There's a couple of teeny tiny pieces that need to be poked out, but otherwise cuts out really well. And you saw I did that with just one swipe. So I'm going to set that aside for now. And I'm going to use this. I need a piece of scrap paper. And I'm going to do a little bit of coloring. And for this demonstration, I am using Calypso Coral Stampin' Blends and also Soft Succulent Stampin' Blend, Stampin' Blends. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take the Calypso Coral Dark Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to make some. Actually, I think I'm going to use the other end. I'm going to just do some kind of like accent brushes, some darker areas for the tulips. And you can see I'm doing it kind of quick and randomly. Doesn't take long at all. And we're going to be going back and filling in the other parts of all these tulips with the light shade of Calypso Coral. And again, this is just one of the techniques I'm going to show you using this die today. So then I'm just going to go back and color, make sure I'm in the screen, the viewing screen for you. And you can go back in if you want to add some more of the dark Stampin' Blend to accentuate areas a little bit more. You can certainly do that. Maybe here. But you just kind of color and blend until you're satisfied with how it all looks. And this is so nice because while it's coloring, it's not about coloring in the lines. It's not about being perfect in our coloring. And then I'm going to color the stems and I'll say the grass with the soft succulent colors. And I'm just going to start with the dark shade of Soft Succulent. And I'm going to do some of these stems part way, but just again, pretty random. I might even do a little more dark here, kind of like a hillside. I'm going to color in the rest down at the bottom. I'm now using the lighter shade. And then I'm going to finish coloring these stems. And because I put some of the dark Soft Succulent on first, we will get a little bit of the varying tones of the color, which just adds some dimension and interest. So this is now what I have. Isn't that pretty? So let's make a card. Let's build a card around that. My base is Calypso Coral, cut at 5.5 by 8.5 inches. In the inside of the card, I'm going to add some basic white cardstock measuring 5.25 by 4 inches. Again, a standard, pretty standard size there for us. And now I'm going to build the front. So I have a piece of Designer Series paper, and it comes from the Flowering Fields Designer Series paper pack. I know I showed that to you last week. If you don't have the Flowering Fields Designer Series paper, you need to get it. It is so strikingly beautiful. Here's another print. I've just got my scraps beside me, so it's going to be hard to show you some of these. There's that cloud one. Oh, this would have worked perfect on this card as well. Here's another one, and it's got this nice green pattern on the back. Here's the one we're using today, the back side of that. Another one. So you get the idea. Just bright, beautiful florals and patterns. And I have cut this to 5 inches by 3 3/4. And I'm actually using the cloud side of this, the sky side, or what I interpret as the cloud and skies. So the DSP is 5 inches by 3 3/4, and then the basic white layer is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 inches. Of course, when I put this on my blog, I'll have all the dimensions for you. Oops, and I forgot to do one important thing. I wanted to put this on first before. I'm trying to decide which way do I want to go with it. Let me just pull this off really quick. Do you ever do that? You're working on something and you know how it all goes together, but you kind of get ahead of yourself? That's what I just did. So I'm just gonna, okay. So to add the tulips to my sky DSP, I'm just going to use some multi-purpose glue. Some along the bottom. And then I'm just going to dot some glue. Whoops, it's kind of a big dot. Dot a little bit of glue on some of the larger areas of the tulips. That looks pretty good. I'll bring in my silicone craft sheet again, so I'm not getting too much glue all over my craft table. And I cut this longer than I needed it, but I did that intentionally because sometimes if you're coloring fast and these areas of cardstock are so thin and narrow, I didn't want to take the chance of tearing one of those ends and it not being real usable. And again, I didn't put glue on every tulip because I wanted some of them to kind of just sit on the top of the DSP instead of being adhered to it. Again, just giving it a little more dimension and interest. And then I can take my snips and cut off the excess. Now I will add this to my, let's see if I can do it this way. You know what? I'm going to flip and do it this way since I tore the other side a little bit. Okay, now my layers are ready to go on the card, and I just realized I was out of the viewing frame a wee bit there. My apologies. It's hard to look at so many places at once to make sure everything's going right. Okay, in this stamp set, so you can see there's not even a stamp that goes with that die. It was all made just with the die. But I am going to use one of these sentiments from here, and I've already chosen to use the Just Thinking of You Today sentiment. So I have a piece of, where did it go? Here it is. I have a piece of Petal Pink script, and I'm going to stamp it with the Calypso Coral ink. Oh, that looks good. And I'm going to punch it with my fancy label punch. Trying to get it centered and straight in there. I think that looks good. And then I'm going to add this with a couple of dimensionals. Because you know that's how I roll. I hope it's a pretty spring-like day wherever you are. It's pretty here in Ohio, and we're going to get up to about 60 degrees. And it's been bright and sunny, blue skies, pretty cloud formations this morning. So I need to make sure I get out and walk later today. Isn't that pretty? Let's add a little bit of bling to it. How about we use the brushed brass butterflies? These are also part of the Flowering Fields suite. Got some larger ones over here. And then I'll put on a couple of small ones as well. Right here, maybe right up there. All right, what do you think? Thumbs up, hearts, smileys. Hopefully all good thoughts. And now I want to show you another way for us. I lost one of my butterflies. Now I want to show you another way. Yes, clean and simple. That's kind of my style. I don't like too much on it. So thank you. That's kind of what I go for. All right, let me show you another way to use that same Tulips die. This time, instead of cutting out white cardstock, I'm going to cut 2 colors of Designer Series paper. Here's a tip. When you're getting ready to reuse a die, make sure you have all those little pieces poked out. The reason I say that is if you let them build up in there, and usually there's just a couple, if any, but if you let them build up in there, you don't get as nice cuts, especially when it's a very detailed die like this one is. So first of all, I'm going to cut, I'm going to use the same colors. I'm going to cut some soft succulent cardstock. Has anybody used this particular die? You can see how nicely that cuts out. Just a few pieces that just kind of pop out if you bend the cardstock a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same thing, this time cutting with Calypso Coral. But first, I need to do as I say and punch out those excess little pieces from the die. A lot of times they just fall out, but then when they're very small pieces, they don't always. So now I'm cutting Calypso Coral. Just don't mind me while I just sweep those onto the floor. My garbage can is over at my cutting station where I've been cutting for my Easter Friends class. All right, I'm going to go ahead and poke all these out. I'm going to be using my paper snips to do some trimming, so they probably would follow with me doing that. But just to make sure I can see the tulips really well, I want to get rid of those negative pieces. So now I'm just going to take my snips and I'm cutting right at the very top of each stem. I love doing this. Of course, I love it when I have more than one way to use a product. And I'm going to cut that away. Just teeny tiny little snips right at the top of each petal. Does not take long. And now I'm going to adhere these tulips to my soft succulent stems. And I'm doing that with just a little bit of the multi-purpose glue. Again, I'm just going to dot the glue onto the larger portions of the tulips. Maybe catch some of the tops and bottoms too. And then all you have to do is match up the Calypso Coral tulips to the soft succulent ones and adhere them to the top. Just press it a few seconds. Make sure it all stays in place. And now I'm ready to build my other card. For this one, it's very similar to the other. I can get all my pieces out. But I'm going to use a pool party card base instead. That's one variation of the first card. Again, I have basic white, 5 1/4 by 4 inches for the inside. I'm going to adhere my tulips to my designer series paper. I cut the designer series paper the same size again. So it's 5 inches by 3 3/4. I want a nice line of glue down at the bottom, but then just dot that multi-purpose glue randomly on the tulips. And remember, I intentionally cut these strips of cardstock a little long, and then I'll trim them off once the glue has set. And then I'm ready to trim off the excess. And now I can mount this onto the basic white layer. And that basic white layer is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 inches. Oh, I glanced up and I see that some more people have jumped on. Some of you have shared. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're all here, and I appreciate you following and watching and sharing as well. And then I'm ready to put this on my card front. The tulip side of the DSP is beautiful also, but I've been using that a lot, but sometimes we need to go outside of our comfort zone and find ways to use the other side. And I thought this die was perfect to show off this sky-like designer series paper. All right, now I'm going to stamp a sentiment. This time I'm using a different one. Let today be the start of something new. Tell me what occasion you would send this sentiment for. Let today be the start of something new. Any thoughts on that? What occasion you would send that for? And I know a lot of times we stamp or we punch with this in this direction. Today I'm changing it up and I'm stamping with it the opposite, or punching with it in the opposite direction. Make sure I have it straight. And then I'm going to do one more thing to this. Now, I can put this right here. To me, it looks just a little bit crowded. Okay, Denise, a finalized divorce. You know, I'm coming up in May on 5 years of my divorce, and just in the last week, I'm feeling very emotional. And Peter and I, you know, we're fine. We have an okay relationship. We are family. We still get together for family functions, holidays. but it's still hard. It's still the most devastating grief ever. And I'm not somebody who wanted a divorce, but you know, it is what it is. But yes, I could see giving this sentiment for that purpose. I can see a promotion, a new job, going to college. Oh, you guys, this is great. How about retirement? Yeah, so many ways. So I love having sentiments that give us a lot of options also. Marion, thank you. Most days I feel strong, but lately a little blue. But then I also think, you know, life could be so much worse. Oh, adoption. I love it. How about grandparenting for the first time? Becoming parents for the first time, welcoming a new baby into a family. Isn't that pretty? Of course, I'm not even going to ask you. I know we need to add a little bling to this. But isn't this the perfect designer series paper for this? Oh, Lynn says maybe not cover up the orange in the clouds. I see what you're saying. But I feel like if I put it over here, it's a little crowded on this side and this looks a little too empty. But I certainly see what you're saying, Lynn. And you can see here too, I put it over here to not cover that up. So that is definitely something to consider. Yeah, here on this one, it's got a little more of the petal pink calypso coral there. Aren't these the best little butterflies, Char? I love, do you all, who has these? Who doesn't have these, I should say? Because if you have them, you know. But I just want to hold this up. I want to see if you can see this. Look at how thin these are. Okay, look at how thin these embellishments are. They do not create any bulk on those cards that you're mailing. That's what I love most about these butterflies. I'll put one here. And maybe one even right on this tulip. All right, what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not sure who all is out watching this afternoon. So here are the two cards we made together. Again, both were made with the single die. Let me punch out these pieces. And do this before you put your dies away. It just makes life feel better the next time you pull out this die. Because if you pull out a die and you have to poke all these little pieces out when you're ready to use it, it's not as much fun. All right, and keeps us organized too. All right, what do you think? Oh, lots of you have the butterflies. You love them both. Do you have a preference? Do you have, do you prefer the Calypso Coral card base or the Pool Party card base? I think they both work well. Oh, Janelle, today's the day you get those out and use them. I know how that is, though, to buy something and we don't use it. I'm curious. Coral is your favorite, Stella? Denise says the Calypso Coral also. Yes, I love them both. But you know what? It goes to show you, really, so much of the cards is same from one to the other. But just gives you a little bit different look. This is a brighter, more punch of color overall, where here you get the punch of color really just on the front. Char says she bought multiple. I know, I keep buying them. I'm using them and buying them. All righty, I'm going to ask you right now if you would like to receive one of these cards. I'll draw names. And if you would like to possibly win one of these cards, I would like you to type what? How about, I don't know, what should we type today? Something different, because we've been typing flowering tulips, etc. How about Calypso Coral? How about Calypso Coral? Marion says, yes, pick me. All right. If you would like the chance to win one of these cards, type now Calypso Coral in the comments. Boy, Amy, you were quick on that. You got the fast fingers. All right. Are there any questions I can answer for any of you before we say goodbye? Oh, looks like lots of people. I had a lot of people on this afternoon. Thank you. Isn't it a nice break from your hectic Monday to just jump on a Facebook Live for a little bit? Oh, Denise, you're sweet. Denise was one of the card winners not too long ago. Liking and sharing. Thank you so much, Sherry Turner. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye. Remember to check out my blog a little bit later, stampinpeace.com, and you'll be able to see the full blog post with cutting dimensions, everything from last Friday's Facebook Live. Last Wednesday's is already posted. What else is going up? Oh, and the new class will go up in a couple of hours as well. Have a great Monday. Enjoy your week. I hope you will join me again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're now in daylight savings, so it'll still be light out, or pretty light out, at 8 this week. And before you come to that Facebook Live, would you please share my page, my business page, Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe, or just invite others to like that page. Okay? Have a great day. I'll see you soon.